Last time on the StuG III G, we fit the brake system and everything seemed to be running smoothly. Glenn and Bo went on a very well-deserved break for a couple of weeks. When they got back, they found a bit of an issue with one of the final drive units and had to undo a lot of the work that they'd already done. However, it's all sorted now and we are finally ready to test fit the transmission and begin the great driveline alignment. Hi, I'm Kurt from Armour and welcome to Workshop Wednesday.
I thought I had the alignment right of the brakes. When I tightened everything for the final time, it actually was putting a bit of sideways pressure on the bearing. The sprocket was getting a little bit tight to turn. Originally, they did have this packing on the whole wall here. What we found is that just the 6mm of original packing wasn't enough because this whole wall actually lays outwards towards the top. The bottom's touching, but out here we've got an extra 6mm packing to keep it even. So that's how far this side's out. But when you look at it, it doesn't look that bad. Pretty confident with where I've got them now. The sprocket spins really nice and free compared to what it was. It's never going to be perfect like it was from the factory because we don't have the tools that they had back then, but
It's as close as we're going to make it.
It's very close. So we've got our brake drums back from the machine shop in town. They were stuck onto the brake shoes, and in between each brake shoe there was a lot of corrosion. It's best to fill that pitting back in and then remachine it again, just because we don't really want to have an interference hit with our brake shoes because it could damage them and it won't be braking very well and probably make all sorts of noises up front.
How would they have done this?
Just machine a slight amount off first, and then you've got to rebuild the surface up, and then you can machine that material off and take it back to its original size, which is what they've done here, and they've done a really good job.
Progress is slow but steady, and little milestones like this are great for morale.
Cool.
They're called epicyclic hubs.
Yep.
They spin very fast, 4 times faster than the sprocket.
Wow.
So gearing from this to the sprocket is 4 to 1. So one rotation of the sprocket will spin this 4 times. These are our locking washers. So 2 different types here. And the one that's shaped like this, it actually locks into the locating dowel. You can actually see where the old washer's been, where the pitting is around it. This is one of the locating dowels that we've made up, and the groove is for the washer. So I've just got to hit it in so that the back of this groove is flush with the surface, and then we can put our washer on, put our bolts in, tighten everything up, and then we can adjust the brakes later on. It's pretty good though. So that's how they work, and it goes inside this a little bit and it just stops it from floating out, in or out. What's left on the brakes is just the adjustment, then doing over the tab washers and that sort of stuff, greasing up any grease points. But yeah, leakages in behind, they're pretty much all done. You just need to wrap the split pins over them. But apart from that, it's just adjustment on the brakes and then they're done.
Now to start working our way inward to the transmission and differential.
These are our differential mounts. These mount onto the front plate up inside here. It's the same across all Panzer III chassis. One of them on the passenger side was damaged beyond repair basically, so we couldn't use it. I tried to re-straighten it, but because it needs to be perfectly in line, we couldn't actually salvage it. We had one left over from our Hummel build that we did. Luckily, I found it underneath the bench over there just the other day. It's a lot straighter than the other one. Don't know if it's going to be 100% just because we haven't test fit anything yet, but it looks a lot better than the other one. The only thing missing was the top. So the tops aren't interchangeable because they were a cast item and they were made to suit that vehicle. We've had to recreate another one here, a bit of hollow round, machined out to the right size, and then split, and then we've milled a groove in it, and that groove is actually for the steering linkage. This is the one from the driver's side, and this is the original one from here, and it's even still got its tin cable clamp.
The transmission also has mounts attached to two brackets that are joined onto the floor bracings. Our original ones are too bent to use, so we're bending up some new ones that Bo drew up in CAD and had cut at our steel supplier.
Biggest setting, that one name. About 92 mil.
Now to lift the transmission in for a test fit and to work out the exact alignment for the mounts and linkages and to make sure everything actually fits.
That's not that bad, really. What I'll do is I'll shackle them all together.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Jono is usually found working on the 221 with Al, but Al's been out of action for a while since he's had a successful operation on his neck. His recovery is going to be quite some time before he can get back on the tools, but we'll have an update on that project as soon as we can. In a previous episode, we examined the condition of this unit and determined that we will absolutely need to pull it apart to make sure everything is in good working order. But this is no way as easy as it sounds. So until we get some assistance from some experts who'll be arriving in a few months' time, we're going to be sitting it in place and finishing as many parts as we can around it. So the uni joints, mounts and drive shaft. Don't worry, we'll be catching all the action on the channel, so stay tuned.
You want to take the top of that mount there up? Got a bit of room there?
Yeah.
If only we didn't have to take it back out again.
I know.
Yeah, no more than that. Whoop. Is that tied on, is it?
Just about.
Almost.
Yeah.
This is the supports that the mounts for the transmission attached to. Originally these were a full hole, but I've just done cutaways in them because I want to just be able to put them over the torsion bar without having to slip them through.
Now down. Yep. Yours.
Oh, it even put its own steering linkage on. Click.
Just attached itself.
I don't know which way we have to flop.
Yeah, we'll figure that out as we Next thing is just checking alignments, making sure our heights of our mounts are correct, because we don't want this universal being on any sort of wild angle. We want it to be pretty much dead true. Even though they are universal to take up play, we still want it precise. Especially because the uni on this side is so short as well. On the other side you get a bit of play, but this side here we want to make sure that that's spot on.
You right?
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's probably not best to be lifting it like that, but I think it's just going to pivot.
It's going to pivot,
instead
that's
of
all.
pull, instead of
Yeah,
rip it
yeah,
up.
yeah.
So I think we'll be right.
Pivot, yeah.
I don't know if these mounts are right. I think they actually are supposed to go on a bit of an angle, because it's an optical illusion, because these rails that go across the floor,
Yeah.
they don't sit straight, they sit tapered.
On the
Yeah.
stone, yeah.
Yeah. So I think what I'm looking at here, I'm thinking it's wrong. It's not. It's just sort of a optical illusion. I don't know what we're doing here. Anyway.
You're right with that.
The boys decide to join the differential to the brake system next, with the universal joints first. Dimitri found these for us, and it saved us an enormous amount of work, until we came across this pretty serious problem.
The bolt for there.
How are you going to get them in? Do you have to pull the diff apart?
Probably. Our universal for this side is measuring at 250, and our distance here is 254. So, but there has to be some sort of give in this system here, because
Everything flexies.
and you've got a rubber mount at the front. We know that this side's got no give because we can't have our brake drum floating.
Yep.
So there must be slip in this part. Oh, look at that. Okay.
So we don't need to take the diff apart?
No, we don't need it, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's good. Now we can put our bolts in through the back. We've only got so much slip, obviously, because the more you pull this out, the less contact the seal has on its surface. So you can't just go pulling this all the way out.
But it's only 4 mil.
It's only 4 mil. It's got.
So that was a big relief. If there was no play in the flanges on the differential output, it would have been a nightmare to align. We've got original bolts for the brake housing side of the uni joint, but Glenn is going to have to make up new ones for the differential side. We need about 24, and he can only make about 3 per day. So for now, we're just going to use whatever fits so that we can keep working.
Just hurry up. If only we had a gantry. Oh, other way. Oh.
No.
That's it. Oh, it's because it's got to go inside. It's a tricky one, John.
Hey.
The boys need to shuffle the transmission over a little bit to fit the uni. There's not enough space to slot it in how it is.
Is that right in? That other one?
Hey?
Did that
I don't think this is going to work. Can you get a bolt in there?
We'll have to undo it.
up?
There we go.
The top. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's heaps.
Easy.
No. In back. Because there's a special cutaway, but it's back on this side over here. Ah! Hang on a second.
Yep.
Like everything German, it goes on in a very precise way.
Yep.
Now we want another one.
The nuts going on now aren't the nuts we're going to be using for the final fit-off. They're just what we have on hand, so we can undo them easily when the unit has to be taken back out again.
Yeah. Yeah.
All good?
Yep. Bit of mucking around, isn't it?
The next day, Bo fits the other side.
It's a long way down. Things in the way. This is going to be tricky. Maybe I should use a gantry. In the casting, there's actually a little scallop, and that's so that you can get the bolt in and behind the flange after you've got the brake drum and the flange on.
So to give your hand extra room to put these bolts in.
Yeah, you physically wouldn't be able to put the bolts in if there wasn't a cutaway there. So they've thought about every little thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Might be jumping the gun a bit, but we just couldn't resist turning over the transmission and seeing the whole system in action, even if it is on a much lower scale.
Yeah, it's definitely a feels like an achievement, like a big milestone getting this in. I know that it's got to come back out again, but to see it like this and see how fine the tolerances are from factory, it's pretty cool.
Join us next Wednesday for your weekly tank restoration fix. So until then, I'm Kurt from Armour. I'll see you on the next one.